So, is it
Where's your mouse?
it is recording. Okay,
Oh,
so my
we're
mouse is over
Okay, I'll
here.
stand on this side.
Okay, so today we are going to talk about communication, part 1, investigation. So today we're going to talk about kind of what communication is. And I think a lot of times people think, oh, communication is me speaking, you listening and receiving my information and then speaking back to me. And there's so much more to it than that. And I think a lot of times, especially with our classes, we need to pay attention to all the other ways that they're communicating with us. So here's the myth or fact. Go ahead, Jen.
Okay, if my child isn't speaking, they aren't communicating.
It's a myth.
That is a myth. Yes, that is a myth. So there are lots of ways that non-speaking children may communicate with the world. And I think we need to be aware and encouraging of all these different ways. So verbal language, clearly, words being said, tone of voice, how things are being said, volume of voice, and then we get into kind of the more nuanced ways that maybe our students will communicate, right? So we have sign language, we have eye contact, we have body language. Let me tell you, when I get in somebody's space and they don't want me there, it is very clear to me. Even though they do not say, get out of my space, it is very clear. They are communicating very clearly, get out. Gestures. We get gestures all day long. There's all kinds of, taking my hand to, bring me to the sink because they're thirsty, they want some water. Scripting. This one is really interesting and kind of unique to our population, and I think it's amazing. A lot of our students memorize parts or all of videos, songs, and if you pay attention, a lot of times those things mean something, right? Not just, oh, my favorite song is Old MacDonald, E-I-E-I-O, but if you're paying attention and they're playing with the farm animals and they're singing Old MacDonald, or they're super happy about something and they choose to script their favorite movie piece or whatever, they're communicating to you that they're happy and they're excited, right? This is a big, big, big one. Hi, Lauren. Hi, sorry. No, come on in. Behavior. This is probably one of the biggest indicators of communication that we see. And sometimes it is, that positive behavior, a smile, a hug, a cuddle, kind of trying to get close. And sometimes it is the flop on the floor. It is the kicking of the feet. It is the screaming. All of those things are communicating something to us. Stimming. This is a really interesting one for our population because stimming tells us a lot of information. I have students who will stim when they're super happy or excited, right? You get those bubbles out and all of a sudden, woo! Or they are upset or mad and they have, I have some students who have some kind of pressure that they want to feel because they're self-soothing. So paying attention to all those different ways that our students are communicating is really important. Also, we do have the talkers that we've been using in our classrooms on our tables. So that is AAC, augmentative and alternative communication. I was going to put assistive in there, but
that's what I used to say. We learned.
And so that is also a way that our students in here are learning to communicate. But today's training is mostly going to be about identifying all the ways of communication, right? And trying to foster more of that communication coming to us.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I went back.
Oh.
Sorry. Okay, go ahead, Jen. If you want to just read it, yeah.
All right, how do I know if my child is communicating? So it's time to be a detective. So we're going to call it homework, but we have a little sheet for y'all to take home, and you're going to be looking at some of the ways in the home that your child is communicating with you. All those ideas that we just went over. And that's kind of like taking data. So we take data all day long in our classes. Everything we do, we're marking it, we're putting it down, we're graphing it, whatever we need to do to track that data so that you can see that progress and you can see, visually all those different ways. We're going to build awareness. We're sounds and actions to provoke a response. So we do have some videos that we're going to be showing that kind of give you examples of how to imitate those sounds and those actions to get the students back and forth communication with you.
Yeah, a lot of communicating is about turn taking. Like one person speaks, the other person listens. One person speaks, the other person listens. So even though it might not necessarily be understandable language that's coming out of their mouth, teaching them and practicing what that looks like to be the listener. What does it look like to be the speaker? If they are, Old MacDonald is an absolute favorite song in my class, so I'm gonna use it as an example all day today. If my kids are singing Old MacDonald, guess who else is singing Old MacDonald? Brady. I'm singing with them, I'm imitating them. I try to leave out a word to see if they will fill it in, or if I have some students who don't have, understandable language at all and they're just making noises and stimming, I will also engage with them in making those noises. So just trying to teach them that we can communicate, and it doesn't necessarily have to be this making it fun. It doesn't have to be this formal, how was your day? My day was good. So kind of teaching them the basics of what communication involves.
One point on this one.
Yes.
So, I think more than a year I followed that with my kid.
Yeah.
But now I feel that he's literally fed up with that.
Oh, he doesn't want to do that anymore.
Me singing with him
Yeah.
all
Yes.
the time.
Yes,
He'll
yes,
stop
he's
you.
communicating with you. He is communicating with you. Don't sing my songs. I love
Yes,
that. But
so
then, yeah.
last couple of months I've stopped doing that,
Yeah,
and
yes.
I'm trying to understand what next I can.
What next you can do? Yeah.
So there are stages. So that's okay. Like he has stopped me.
Yes, he's communicating with you. He is saying to you, hey,
I
it
don't
was fun for a little while, but that's not my jam anymore. So now the challenge is going to be getting curious and
Yeah.
figuring out, okay, what else can we do together?
Oh.
Is that the time that you get out the bubbles and you practice pop, 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 or taking turns with a toy, rolling balls or something, to just find something else.
Yeah.
So good for you though for singing along. Okay, so we just talked about kind of what communication looks like, right? Now we're going to talk about why, right? What is the function of communication? Everything that we do always has to have a purpose. And a lot of times it's tricky to know what the purpose is for our students. So we're going to watch this very brief, well, we're probably not going to watch the whole thing because we are not having time for all of it, but
Question. Would you build a website?
I would not build a
Major
website for
Branch.
Major Branch, thank you, because I don't know how to do that. Okay. Oh, yeah, and I'm gonna pause it first. This whole program, Stepping into AAC, is what we are using. We have a coach who is coming in and helping us, teaching us how to implement this program with these devices. All of this is free online material. So we will post the website. You can, explore. The trainings are all these videos, all the steps to the process are online. It is through the Angelman Foundation, I think. But when you look at this video, we did not create it, but the information is amazing. And if you're watching it and today you're like, oh, I wish I remembered what they said in that video, we'll send you the website and there's a ton of information.
Communicative functions 1.2.
Communicative functions are the reasons we communicate. Throughout this series, you will explore different communicative functions each week. You may hear the terms communicative purpose or communicative intent, but they all mean basically the same thing. The primary reasons that we communicate are to request, refuse, and establish social closeness. We communicate to share information, comment on things, and ask questions. And throughout this series, we're going to take this a bit further and consider variations on those communicative functions. For example, describing is a specific way to share information. Showing off and expressing humor are examples of interaction that we use to enrich social relationships and establish social closeness. We will also make distinctions between questions that require a response and place demands on a learner, and differentiate that from asking questions to learn about our world, solve problems, or share our own curiosity. Let's break down a simple "how was your day" conversation to see multiple communicative functions across terms.
Okay, I'm gonna pause this for a second. This is fascinating to pay attention to. Okay, so she just talked about communicative functions: requesting, refusing, social closeness, commenting, sharing information, and requesting information. So this is gonna be kind of just a typical any day conversation. Kid just got home from school, mom is asking questions. And then it's gonna check what
Hey there.
functions are.
Tell me about your day.
It was okay. I was tired today.
I bet you were tired. We were out pretty late last night at your brother's ball game.
Yeah, we did get to go outside for recess.
Wasn't it cold?
Yeah, but I didn't care. I hate indoor recess. I'm hungry. Can I have a snack?
I just got apples and granola bars.
I don't want those. I want yogurt.
Of course you do. Your favorite. We have some in the fridge.
Cool. Ooh, let me show you what I made in art today.
You'll notice that as the conversation shifted between turns, different communicative functions were expressed. This kept the conversation moving forward. Varying these communicative purposes is a natural and intuitive part of interacting with others. It keeps our conversations interesting, engaging, and worthwhile. But often, this natural give and take aspect of interaction breaks down a little when we put AAC into the mix. Communication partners tend to be great at offering AAC learners choices so that they can make requests or refuse what they were offered. We also tend to ask a lot of questions that require a specific answer. These communicative functions always place a demand on the learner, and they're limited to the here and now. Limiting communicative functions can look like this. Your teacher.
Okay, so now we're gonna watch an example of a child with a device and her responses and a mom trying to communicate with her. Even though all of our students don't have devices or we're not even there yet, etc., this is really appropriate. I feel like a lot of times this is how people speak with individuals who don't have expressive language, is we ask a lot of questions, right? We say, oh, do you want yogurt for snack? Oh, okay, good. So I think trying to make sure we're hitting all of these different functions is a great way to expand on the communication for all individuals.
You wrote in your book that you had just an okay day. Were you tired?
Tired.
Do you want a snack?
Eat.
What do you want? What do you want?
What? Want. What want?
Are you pointing to an apple? Do you want an apple?
You'll notice that though the mom has some variety in her communicative purposes, her language was dominated by asking questions, and AAC was modeled only to offer choices. As we move through this series, we will often use the terms natural interaction or authentic communication. Part of what we mean when we use those terms involves varying the purposes for communicating during interactions in which we're modeling AAC. Ensuring that we also use functions such as commenting, sharing information, and asking questions to show our own curiosity does three important things. First, it fosters connection and interest. Second, it increases the amount of modeling that occurs, which really enhances AAC learning for both the learner and us, the communication partners. And third, it decreases the demands which we place on AAC learners. It invites a turn, but does not require it. It entices communication, but does not insist on it. And that allows the conversation to move forward. Using a variety of communicative functions with AAC can look like this.
Tell me about your day. Your teacher wrote that you had an okay day. I wonder if you were tired.
Tired.
We did get home late from your brother's game last night.
Get home. Get home.
You had so much fun at the game.
Fun.
Let's see what you did today. I see you made art
Made.
and played on the swings at recess.
Played.
You do love to go on the swings. We can go out
Go. Out. Go out.
after we eat
Eat.
a snack. Which one? I am surprised.
Surprise.
I thought you would want a granola bar. That flavor is good.
As you can see, using AAC to model language for a variety of purposes created a more natural and dynamic style of interaction. And though the child's use of AAC was limited, nonverbal communication was honored and AAC was used to give language to those moments.
We didn't want something where he could just request. You know, we wanted him to be able to have conversations. And that was really important to us, that it wasn't just, I want. Like, that's where we started, and that's what he does well with. And he does a good job telling us what he wants, with or without the device, obviously. But to us, it was important that he could ask, how are you? And he could, you know, just say more things than I wanted to.
As you move through moments of interacting with your AAC learner,
Oh, hello, Michelle. Hello.
Fill your bucket right now.
Oh, hello. Okay, so this video talks a whole lot about kind of the functions, right? And even though we don't have devices at home and all of those things, it's important to honor the functions behind all of those communication attempts from our students. Are you crying? Okay. So
We love our parents here. We're so grateful for you guys and our
I'm sorry,
teachers.
this is
no, thank you so much.
Michelle's our lead.
She's our coordinator. She's the head of our special populations for our campus. So, I think one of my favorite moments in that video is when the mom offered the choice of the yogurt or the granola bar, and the kid pointed to the yogurt. She's like, yes, you want the yogurt. She facilitated the communication. She told him, oh, that's your choice. And then she honored it and gave it to him. I also like the fact that she said she was surprised that he chose the granola bar, you know? So it doesn't always have to be, just asking questions and then kind of waiting for them to make a comment or I want statements. So, okay. Do you guys have any questions about the function? Is that surprising to you guys? Have you thought about that ever? I had never really thought about that until I got into my classroom. And I had kids that were crying and flopping on the floor, and I was like, wow, this is communicating something to me, right? I don't want to do my work, or you took away my toy. So, and trying to figure out a way to turn that into language. That's kind of the whole purpose of the AAC and our purpose of being here. So, do you guys have any questions? Was that surprising, or is that something everybody?
So, have you already started AAC, using AAC in the classroom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we have a classroom device. Every classroom has one, so we can use it with all the students. And then we do have some students who have their own personal device because they've gone through the assistive technology evaluation and they've gotten their device.
Okay.
But we all have this. So we are starting to implement it more and more. And as we get more comfortable with it, because you got to kind of learn where everything is, we're building on it every day. We're getting more and more. So.
Okay. So because why I asked is my kiddo is coming here since last year, and he's going for speech therapy separately also.
Okay.
So now finally our speech therapist has recommended to go for AAC.
Okay.
Because we were hoping he'll start speaking, but functionally he's not speaking yet.
Okay.
And the cards and all we are using at home, but the main challenge is he follows everything probably at school also,
Right.
and at the speech therapy center also. But when at home we are trying the same things,
And it's not
different.
generalizing.
Yeah, it's not
Gotcha.
generalizing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So similar thing I was thinking whether for AAC also, like what is the have you found that with other kids also, like is there
I would say the biggest thing is for you to use it at home, all the caregivers. Right now we're in a stage where we're just modeling basically. We're not expecting the kids to use this to tell us, oh, I didn't sleep very well last night and I'm tired. And I wish I had a granola bar. We are the ones using it. And I use this wall a lot. I have a pointer finger when kids come to school. I use this wall and say hello. And there are some kids that'll come up here and also touch hello.
So he's following that in classroom.
But not at home.
Like for top and other things, he used to show the visuals.
Yeah.
At home, there is a little progress. Just yesterday, finally, more and done cards. He finally did the done.
Yeah.
So there is some progress, but
Yeah.
I was just curious.
So-
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I hope everybody takes away from this, and regardless of whether you go home and plaster your whole house with pictures of everything or not, it is okay to speak for your kid. You see them reaching for their cup, and instead of like, oh, let me get the picture and here, you want the cup, you can say,
No.
you want the cup. Okay.
No, we speak more than
Yes,
that.
yes,
Oversaturate the
modeling,
language, yeah.
modeling that
Yeah,
language
that-
for them.
Yeah.
Yes, when we have the device at school, it has a strap on it. It's a fashion accessory. I wear it all day. I wear it on the playground. But when a kid comes up to me and grabs for the bubbles, I will grab the talker, is what I call it, and I will push the button and say, "Oh, you want more bubbles?" Many of my kids have started also using it. So.
And we also have the low-tech version of the talkers, like
Yes.
the core board. So, these are good to have. We have them at all of our direct instruction stations. So if we don't have the iPad in our hands, we have that we can go to, and we can always send you home copies of that too to have at the house.
Oh, okay. So why do we communicate? Even all of us. This is why we communicate. All humans. Protest, refuse. Request, make a choice. Comment, draw attention, seek information, share information, or interact socially. So we are hopeful that as you go home, and we will give you your little homework sheet, and it's fine if you don't fill it out. It's just really to get you started thinking, what is my kid communicating and why? So there's a chart, and so it has all of the, functions of communication, and then the topography, like what it would look like. My kid is crying, and why were they crying? Oh, to request something or to protest something. I said, it's time to brush your teeth, and he is having a meltdown. Guess what? He's telling you, I don't want to brush my teeth, right? So taking some data to try to figure out, our kids are communicating with us all the time. It might just look a little bit different. So again, we're gonna ask you to become a detective. And then also, with trying to figure out the function, paying attention to the context and the environment is important in that moment. Was it you were making a demand? You were placing a demand, you said no to something. They were fully engaged in whatever they wanted to do, and you asked them to transition to the dinner table. All of that information is going to it's going to speak to the function of the communication. What is this? Why is my child communicating with me? Okay, this is a good myth or fact. Go ahead, Ms.
Okay,
Jen.
if a child does not speak by 6 years old, they will never speak.
What do you guys think?
It's already.
Oh, y'all are geniuses. What? Okay. Yes, this is a myth. This is a myth. But I think sadly, this is a myth that's really popular. I think a lot of people tend to put it out there and say, oh, there's this hard deadline, and if kids aren't speaking by the time they, get to first grade, then they're never gonna speak, and that's just not true. The science behind that suggests that, children can develop speech at any point. And, I have seen reports where older adults have started developing speech even later in life. So,
How many times have we had a student leave Lawson?
yes.
Well, we see them when they're in high school, and they're talking, and they're communicating, and they're doing all the things that we hope that they would start doing, so.
Yes. So I also am going to throw in there, because we are working with using AAC device, this does not mean we don't honor, respect, encourage verbal approximations, verbal speech. If somebody is trying to say bubbles to me, I'm going to get the bubbles out and we're going to have a party, right? And also, for students who struggle with expressive language, it is so important to give them access to a voice, to their vocabulary, to, you know, enough communication that they can really tell us their wants and needs and develop that rich, robust vocabulary. Does not necessarily, I've had students who have graduated off of the AAC and they are speaking and able to, you know, have conversations. However, we don't want to wait for, oh, what if this happens? There's also a lot of research that says AAC does not stop speech development. So it's not like, oh, I'm gonna give my kid this device and it's gonna turn into a crutch and he's never gonna speak. That's just not the case, okay? This gives your kids so much more vocabulary, and I think I've seen kids who started using the AAC and instantly started speaking more because, oh, this thing said bird, I'm gonna say bird. So, you know, I think a lot of times there is a little bit of struggle about, oh, I don't want to replace my kid's voice by using AAC, and that's not our goal. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, presume competence. Always presume your child is capable of understanding and learning. This encourages them to reach their full potential. Treat all forms of communication with respect, whether they come from speech, gestures, or the AAC device. And your child has valuable ideas and thoughts to share. Be patient and wait for them to respond.
I love this
It's kind of sad.
little dude who's doing the more sign. So cool. I love this slide as well. When you see me interacting with your babies who are 3, 4, and 5, I am the biggest, loudest chatterbox ever. I have a karaoke machine in here. We sing, we dance. I try to speak the way I would to anybody, right? And so I think that's what all of this is talking about. And making sure that we really are honoring all of those communication modes. So when your kid is happy, sad, flopped on the floor, pushing away the dinner plate, you honor that and you say, oh, you don't like broccoli, okay. So you can kind of speak for them, give them some language, and make sure that we are acknowledging they are communicating with us, right? It just may not be, Mom, I don't want broccoli for dinner. So we have this cute little video to play that is so cute, and as we're watching it, I would love for you guys to just see if you can recognize all the different ways that the two individuals in the video are communicating with each other. They are not speaking the same language. Spoiler alert.
Spectrum abre cada día una puerta a un universo de posibilidades sin límites, acercándote a la gente y los lugares que... Did you understand it though? No. Oh, not this one. This is the no. Yeah, that's right. That's what I was wondering. I don't know when they're gonna do next season because they did some stuff this time. Exactly what I was thinking. No, yeah. Right, don't bring that in. You know
So there's gestures, there's eye contact, he's speaking, they're taking turns.
Yeah. Like go somewhere else with that, but don't break it here, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You see it? You like that?
So the baby's dancing, the dad is dancing, they're both drumming.
exactly what I thought when they told me that. I was like, nah, yo, but then it came.
So there are a lot of examples of different ways that they were communicating with each other, and they were not having an English-speaking conversation, you know what I mean? So as you're working with your kid, as you're hanging out with your kid, as you're having dinner, as you're, playing, try to think about incorporating some of those ways in, right? Eye contact, using gestures, respecting their jargon. I loved it when the dad was like, bugga bugga, yeah! So, adding some different communication ways in. Okay, so this is the last thing. So for next session, which hopefully will be in a month, we would love for you guys to take a look at and try to fill out some of this data, okay? It will help you establish your when and why. So taking a look at the function, and then acknowledging communication from your child and reacting to it. And then next time, we plan to discuss ways to shape all of that communication into language from your kid. Okay. Do you guys have any questions? No? Okay.
So do you want us to just put a mark or?
Yeah, just tally, and it doesn't have to be like every single time for the next, no, just, you might see a trend. You might say, oh, man, he is constantly crying when he's trying to request something, or, and then you can think, oh, wait, what do I need to do when he's trying to request something? How can I help him have some language and some success in that moment? Okay.
Question.
Yes.
When's the next session?
We do not have it scheduled yet. I'm gonna guess probably the week before Thanksgiving. Yes.
Hope we have it in November.
Again, we will record, just like we recorded this time. We'll record it and we'll probably post it on Seesaw. Okay. And then we have a little post questionnaire.
Questionnaire, yes.
You may choose to fill this out as much as you want. This has been a lot more paperwork than we anticipated, but it's very helpful for us to get kind of some feedback and to
know where to go next time.
Yeah, to know where to go.
Us
Exactly.
for our other sessions, because we're going to do more than just communication, but we hope to focus on that as much as we need to, if we're feeling comfortable.
And then also, I put up here both of our email addresses. You can feel free to email us any questions, Seesaw message, any questions. Oh goodness, I specifically have a question about what to do with my kid in this moment, and we'll try to help you.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
A real quick question.
Yes.